On the way, my stomach growled at me. I guess I should make myself some dinner when I get back. I'll buy some groceries in the human village, but what should I make? Well, I'm trying to think. Well, we could have koishi, but that's too easy. Let's try fish, I guess? I've heard fish and shrimp are good for the brain. Well, I went in and bought some horse mackerel. I'll take this home and fry it up. Alright, let's eat. I fried up the fish just as the recipe said. It was pretty good, and I felt like I was getting smarter already, or at least better at following directions. That's the important part. I made some good progress with my notes today, as well as a few spells I've been working on. I worked well into the afternoon, so I had a big lunch, then dropped by the shrine for some snacks. After that, I headed back home, refreshed and ready for another round of research. I was really on a roll today, no specific breakthroughs, but I burned through a lot of details that had been blocking my progress on bigger matters. Finally, I realized it had gotten pretty late and I was hungry again. So I decided to hunt down a place to grab a late dinner, and the best choice was the Scarlet Devil Mansion. After all, there was something else I wanted to do there as well. I wanted to investigate that book of Sakuya's. I hadn't really gotten a good look at it before Sakuya had found me, so I only got to see a few photos and writings. It was pretty clear that it was what it was though. Who'd have thought Sakuya of all people would have that kind of a crush? Well, I suppose it made some sense. I was briefly tempted to go look for the book's new hiding place on my own, but I realized I was very unlikely to succeed. After all, I had been in a complete accident when I found it the first time, which meant it was time to go find the head maid. Eventually found Sakuya in the kitchen. She appeared to be making some sort of meat dish along with some form of pastry and a pot full of soup. I came to steal I'm trying to think which would be more entertaining. Hey, I came to steal a look at your book too, okay? Hey Sakuya, I asked you something. Smells good, what's cooking? Oh, let's see. I'm trying to think what would be entertaining. I think we'll go with stealing we'll just straight out said stealing a book just to mess with Sakuya. See how she reacts. I want to see this. Hey, came to steal a book. Look at your book, okay? What? If my ears didn't deceive me, I heard a bit of worry in her voice, but she masked it quickly. By the time Sakuya turned around, she completely concealed any sign that she was bothered by what I said. Oh, it's you, Marissa. I don't really see why you want one of my books, really. Why not steal some of Miss Patchley's instead? Really? I thought that book in your room was rather interesting. The maid seemed to pause for a moment to consider her reply. If you mean that book, it's no longer in my room anyways, and if you want to continue this conversation, I ask that you at least help me cook while you do so. I went over to the wall, where several clean aprons hung, and I put one on. This was a pretty comfortable apron. I suppose it wouldn't hurt to hang onto it afterwards. Of course, it could use some personalized touches. Of course, she's gonna be stealing an apron as well. In any case, I watched Sakuya cook for a bit, and then she handed me a knife and a slab of beef. If you would please cut this into smaller pieces before putting it into the stew, I would greatly appreciate it. I took the knife and cut off a small piece of the meat. About this large? Yes. We worked in the silence for a few minutes as Sakuya returned to her work, and I began working into a rhythm. After a while, I broke the ice again though. So, about that book. Sakuya didn't even miss a beat this time. As I said, that book is no longer in my room. Well, where is it? I see absolutely no reason why I should answer that question, and Sakuya's got a good point. There's no real reason to do so. How about if I wanted to see it? Maybe I was just imagining things, but I think I saw one of Sakuya's eyelids twitch just the slightest amount at that. Absolutely not. I see no reason why you would be interested in such a thing. Why not? I'm sure there's all sorts of juicy photos in there. Sakuya was silent for a moment. I have no idea what you're talking about. I said nothing. I just continued to cut meat. One slab of meat finished, time to put it into the pot. Oh yes, when you're done with that, put it in the pot and stir it in for me. I followed directions while waiting for Sakuya to get back to the conversation. After a while though, Sakuya just sighed and continued cooking. This food was terrible. I've heard love is the most important ingredient in any dish, but this was just oppressive. Is that love struck part of your job description? Sakuya stopped chopping the carrot she was working on for a second, but the only response she gave me was another sigh before she continued cutting the carrots. Tough nut to crack. Is it really that bad? I mean, are you seriously that stuck on her? Sakuya froze. That bad, huh? Well, maybe if you let it sit or pass. Crushes do that. Well, when I was a girl, there was this guy and... Simple girlish crush don't last decades, Miss Kirisame. Oh, I see. There was awkward silence for a few moments. Wait, decades? Just how old are you, Sakuya? Tis. It's very impolite to ask a lady her age, Miss Kirisame. Still all these years, and I'm still a failure as a maid. This was news to me. How are you a failure as a maid? You're certainly doing better than any of the other maids around here, and you do good work. I don't believe I've ever seen or heard of you messing up, really. How does that make you a bad maid? For a moment, it seemed like Sakuya would just clam up again and not talk, but conflict of interest. What? It's a conflict of interest. You saw how thick that book was? I've been collecting these photographs of the mistress for decades now. Sneaking around, doing all sorts of improper things. How could I possibly be proper me while harboring these sorts of feelings towards the person I'm supposed to be working for? Every single day from the moment I wake up to when I retire, all I can think about is the mistress. Whenever I see the mistress with Reimu, or when Aya comes to research one of her articles, my only thought can be how much I envy them, that they can simply be with the mistress in a normal manner. Sometimes I even worry she suspects that she may be avoiding her adult form to rid me of my exceptions. Adult form? I suppose she did look different in some of those photos, but that meant, how could I possibly function properly as a maid like this? Not the time right now, focus on the maid. So, this seems perfectly reasonable. Well, okay, it's totally insane, but it's reasonably insane. Yeah, that's not exactly a combination of words you see often, but we'll work with that. I mean, your job is to do everything you can do to make Romelia happy and safe, right? Right. And you're the best at your job, which means you'll obsess over it, which means you're obsessive over Romelia's happiness, right? I did just admit that shameful truth. So it's natural you fall for her if you're obsessing over her happiness. I mean, it's better than the alternative anyway. And it means you're even more focused on your job than you were before, because you're looking out for her emotional happiness. Somehow that logic seems wrong. Think about it, it makes total sense. Yeah, let's roll with it. I saw the maid's face scrunch up a bit as she began to process my advice. So it really isn't all that bad a thing, really. You might even call it a good thing in a way, so you should stop worrying about it, especially since you haven't done anything perverse. I don't know, it still just seems strange at best. You'd make it sound like you've never had a crush on someone before. Sakuya was silent. Well, if you haven't before, then of course it's strange. New things are strange. Be that as it may, it isn't good for something to affect my judgment, as much as this does. Didn't I go over this already? This is perfectly normal. I mean, you're already saying you're a human, and this is what just humans do. Besides, I said it already, have you thought that it might be affecting your judgment in a positive way? Sakuya was silent for a moment, then shook her head, seemingly to clear it. I suppose I'll need to think about this, I'm afraid. About this point, I took a taste of the stew I was stirring. It seemed about ready. I heard an egg timer ding, and Sakuya donned some oven mitts and produced a quiche? I don't know, from the oven. It seemed dinner was ready. Sakuya invited me to eat with the Scarlet Sisters and I accepted. Now that I know about her secret, I decided to watch Sakuya's eyes throughout the entire dinner. It was true, she was good at hiding it, but now that I know what to look for, I did notice her attention was focused on Romelia more than anything. She stayed almost completely silent throughout the entire dinner, although her impassive mask seemed to keep anyone besides me from commenting. Afterwards, it was getting late and I decided to head home. Hey, free dinner, I'll take it. Hopefully Sakuya would think that what I said over. I wonder what she'll decide to do when she's finished thinking about it. I wonder what she'll decide to do then. Speaking of the things over, what did I want to do tomorrow? Oops, no, I want to do. Let's keep on working. You shouldn't waste momentum. I should keep going until I hit a block. I'll hit the shrine for a break then.